quick comment on the 10+ million of various ag programs that get cut out of the budget this year, and last year was more than that. And we go through this charade every year in the budget of cutting it out, putting it back in. We waste a lot of time and effort for programs that are very valuable to our agriculture community. And I would just stress to the executive that this, frankly, is a waste of all of our time, year in and year out, having to go through all that. On the State Fair, $50 million in capital reappropriations. Can you tell us where we are, what remains to be done, and how much is unexpended of that $50 million?
It's all allocated. The building, they're working on it today as we speak. If you drive by Syracuse State Fair on 690, you'll see steel going up. They actually worked on it all winter, even on those days when I couldn't see 100 yards in front of me to the next car. They were out there pounding footings into the ground, and steel is being erected as we speak, and they anticipate being done with the expo building, 136,000 square feet by the start of this year's State Fair. And this will be the largest expo center between Cleveland and Boston, that's north of New York City. So I think that's going to be a great addition to the fair, not just for those 13 days we operate, but throughout the season.
Where is the gondola project?
You know, when we put together the transformation of the fair, the first work group, and you got to walk around with me and the governor there, and we talked about doing more, and then there was the second transformation project that was underway, and the gondola was certainly a part of those discussions. It was a rather extensive wish list, but the funding that we had to do, we decided the best thing to do with it was go after this expo building. So we currently don't have funding for a gondola. We did put into the fair last year a skyway, which was borne by the person and company that operates the Midway. And so you can take a skyway ride from one end of the fair over to the west end, which has been a big hit.
But not over to the amphitheater.
And not over to the amphitheater or the Orange
So the
Lodge.
gondola plans are off the table for now.
Well, they're sitting on the corner there, waiting for funding.
Thank you. That's where they should stay. On hemp, I want to commend you, the department, the governor, for the incredible work being done to build a hemp industry here in New York State. It's been very important to me, and it's been a pleasure to work with you and your department and the governor's office on that over the past few years together with Assemblywoman Lepardo. You mentioned in your opening remarks you now have over 2,000 acres of land. Is it actively being farmed for hemp this coming year, or what's the makeup of that in status?
Okay. Well, the 2,000 acres refer to the amount of the research project for hemp that we had planted last year in New York State, literally from Lake Erie across the state down to Long Island. It was the biggest research project I think Cornell and Morrisville had ever stood up. And it was very successful in spite of a very challenging growing season. This year, new year, new opportunity. We have somewhere around over 106 growers that have been interested in participating in the hemp research. It will add up to more than 2,000 acres this year. I don't know exactly, but the sum total is already exceeding 2,000 acres. So I think we're going to keep that research growing. You'll learn a lot on a bad year as you do on a good year, and so excited about the prospects there. I would add that we'll be at Cornell this week for a hemp research forum where we get the best and brightest together and talk about what we've learned and what we have yet to learn as we go forward. So I think between that and the investment in processing capacity by Empire State Development in hemp is going to really be the answer.
Again, on the topic of Cornell, and to echo Senator Ritchie's comments, Cornell being in my district, the relationship that we have in the state with Cornell is phenomenal. The work that they do in conjunction with you at Ag and Markets and so many other areas of the state is fantastic. So I do want to commend Cornell for their very active involvement in this. I only wish that the forum wasn't on a session day when we were here in Albany, but I'm sure I'll have somebody there. What is the plan, or how many licenses are issued now for growers and/or processors in the state? And how many, is there any limit, or where do you see we're going to end up a number of licenses being issued?
I think the number of permits we have is 106. And Jeff is showing me here that the number of acres that are currently planned for next year is 2,700, just to get back to that. For processors, I believe there are 26 that are currently registered with the department with an interest in processing hemp in New York State.
How is the work going to match up the growers with the processors? Because we certainly have farmers across the state that are interested in this burgeoning industry, but concerned about making the investment to get into a new crop without really having the industry there to sell to. You know, it's the old chicken and egg scenario.
Sure.
So where are we in those efforts?
Yeah, it certainly starts with the customer, not with what you like to grow. That's part of our mission, and to do that, we put together a hemp work group that came out of the summit you and I were at. We invited all the people that are interested in the business to be a part of that work group. They're a very bright, very high energy, very scientific, and very forward-thinking group of people. But within the first meeting, I realized we needed a second work group just to deal with a different type of hemp. Because certainly it depends on who your customer is, and matching those processors to the grower who can grow what they need is so important, which is what we're doing with these work groups. We have hemp that's grown for fiber, that's grown for manufacturing, that's grown for paper or cloth. And then we have hemp that's probably grown to a much more sophisticated level with regard to CBDs and the seed and the quality of oils that can be extracted with nutrition and possibly pharmaceutical benefits. So it starts with who the processor is and connecting him with a grower that can grow that specific type, that specific quality of product. Very different from biofiber to pharmaceutical, as you can imagine. But that's what we're matching up now.
Very good. I again commend you and your staff's efforts and the entire department in this effort. I've got a few more questions, but I'll come back for a second round.
Thank you.